All right. Well, welcome everybody. There are going to be a few more participants. I've been getting some text messages on the side. Denise is joining. She's on a phone call. She's wrapping up right now in just a second as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen and welcome everyone to the show. I always feel funny. Everybody says I look funny with the headphones and I've got the microphone and everything. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Eco-Friendly Rotary Club.
Not funny, professional.
Yeah. We should just call this a podcast, that we'd be all cool and new, right? Like it'd be so let's go ahead and begin with our bell. I may have forgotten to do the share sound, but you probably won't hear that. So I apologize for not having that button clicked. That's one thing, Megan, to remember when you do your screen share. If you have a video, click that share sound. I forget that often. And then Megan, I don't know your background, but for all of us on the call as Rotarians, this is something we do. It kind of joins us in the spirit of Rotary. It's something that all Rotarians share. We have basically 4 values, 4 things that bring us together and that are our guiding principles. So I'll ask for all the Rotarians, if you wouldn't mind, and you can unmute your mic and I'll click to keep cadence. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and say it together. So the 4-way test of the things that we think, say, and do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all
concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, good stuff. I don't see any guests even hiding behind people with their cameras on, but if you do have somebody, Kimberly or Finola, please do let us know. But we'll do a more official welcome and introduction for you, Megan, in just a moment. And then for announcements, I'll open it up to the group. Is there anything for the good of the order? Anything that we need to share with the group here?
Don't forget to sign up for the RLI.
Perfect. All right, and we do have our district conference. If anybody's going to be around the weekend of the 21st, you're welcome to pop in, say hi. So that's a district conference. It's going to be in Melbourne. Also, don't forget World Polio Day is coming up on the 24th. We always want to make sure we get the word out on that. So I've been trying to put things up on social media. Make sure you click, like, and interact with all those things. And that can really help spread the word and get that information out to everybody. This is something, Megan, that we've been doing for a long time. If you didn't know that, Rotary has historically been heavily involved with the attempt to end polio, to eradicate polio on the earth. And we're almost there. We're almost there. So yeah, 24th. And then along with that, we just got some notice from a fellow club in the Vero Beach Oceanside Rotary. And they just wanted me to share this with you all. So if you're interested, if you're in the area within driving distance and you want to come down, they're going to do a picnic in the park, and that's on Monday. So if you're interested, I can forward this over to you. Otherwise, just make a note on your calendar. It's going to be a picnic in the park, and it's going to be at the Riverside Park, Memorial Island, North Pavilion. And like I said, just let me know if you need any more information. I can forward that email back over to you. I haven't put that event up on our Facebook page yet. I'm going to go see if I can find it on the Vero Beach Facebook, and then I'll just share it to our club page in case you want that information later. Good. All right. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Ed Leff. Would you mind doing our Sergeant at Arms?
Be happy to. I have a heck of a time coming up with fines. The only one I can think of is the one that will result in me having a fine. I don't know about anybody else, but if your team didn't score a touchdown this weekend, and of course Mike Holliday's team always scores touchdowns, I would say a fine. My Iowa Hawkeyes haven't seen the end zone in a long time.
Well, my favorite in Formula One became world champion this weekend, so I think that's a touchdown, right?
I would say that's probably a touchdown.
I'll say go Vols. Go Tennessee.
They're doing pretty well, aren't they, this year?
Yes. We're actually having a year. We're back.
Yeah.
We got Alabama this weekend, though.
Well, let's hope you beat him.
No.
So,
What a bad one.
let's see. Is there any birthdays, anniversaries coming up?
Wait, get out of there. Don't click on that yet.
You're on. Let me kill that.
All right. Well, I've got a birthday. My mom's birthday is tomorrow. She doesn't like me saying what her age is, so it's got an 8 and another 8. So we'll just leave it at that. So I tell her she should be quite proud that she's 88 and she moves much better than that. So good for her. But her birthday is tomorrow. Anybody else? All right. Any sad dollars? All right. Well, that's good news when there's no sad dollars, I think. Any happy dollars?
I got a happy buck or two, Ed. So I went down. I spent the weekend. This is really cool for the eco-friendly Rotary, but I spent the weekend in Homestead, south of Miami, and I worked with a nonprofit. And if everybody remembers it, I had a speaker, Roxy Morant, who was the CEO of a nonprofit. Anyway, I work with her still, and I went down. I took a couple of days off of work, and I went down and taught young people how to do microcomputing and how to build a microgrid and some other cool stuff. Now that might be like, what? But we basically built solar panels and talked about how to create energy and how energy is stored and how that interacts with microcomputing and how we can use energy, et cetera, et cetera. And we had a great time. And we were able to go out to Biscayne Bay National Park and to do just a lot of stuff. We did a little beach cleanup. It was super, super fun. And I'm just really, really excited, I guess is my point. Really excited to get the word out about alternative energy and teach young people about these things. And hopefully we can tie that back in with the club at some point. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Let's see, anybody else?
I have a happy dollar.
I hear a voice, but I don't see it.
That's Denise.
Denise, okay.
Last Saturday, I went to the former royal palace of Het Loo in the Netherlands here. It's a beautiful, beautiful palace, which was, I think, up until about 10 years ago, perhaps. Yeah, it was still a residential palace of the royal family. And now it's a museum with a lot of history inside. And it was gorgeous. It was beautiful weather outside. The palace gardens were beautiful. It was 59 degrees Fahrenheit. There was clear blue sky, sunshine. The forest was all in autumn colors. And yeah, it was gorgeous. I think we walked over 16,000 steps that day.
That's awesome. Is 59 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, is that unusual weather for where you're at?
No, that's pretty common for now. Well, usually it rains as well, but the fact that it wasn't raining and it wasn't overcast was really nice.
I bet. Anybody else?
I have a happy dollar for the fun we had at Alana's wedding on Saturday. Myself and Susie were at it, and it was really great fun. Saturday and Friday was a barbecue, and Friday, and the wedding was Saturday.
I hope we can see some pictures.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised she's not at the meeting today.
I don't think
Kimberly.
Florida. Oh yes, yeah.
You should fine her for not being at the meeting today.
That's right. Was she doing a honeymoon type thing? Is that it?
And she's going to Ireland on a honeymoon, and Ireland for a week, and then I think Croatia for a few days, and I'm not sure where else.
Nice. Well, congratulations, Alana. And Mr. Alana, I don't know who she married.
I can't really justify a fine for that. I would think it would be a fine if she wasn't doing anything. So.
I agree. If
Anybody else?
she was at the meeting, then it would be a fine, not a
No,
fine.
not the meeting. She married her boyfriend.
She did.
Saturday.
Well, no comment. All right. Any other happy dollars?
I guess I should speak up. You know, one of the things that COVID did helped me a lot because I do distance learning teaching. So I was very popular, but I'm also a pianist. And my accompanying work went into the toilet since nobody was having concerts or church services. So this past Sunday, from back in 2019, one of my churches, the National Memorial Unitarian Church in downtown DC, called me and asked me to come back and start accompanying again for their choir. And what I especially liked, Ed, I don't have the 88 yet, but I have the 76. And the choir director said, well, you've still got it. So that's a very happy dollar.
That's not, you know, music and, you know, music teaching and instruction just really took a hit during COVID. Just...
Oh, Lord. Yeah, tell me about it. I had been playing for a year in one church that accommodates 2,000 people, but it's the Korean community, has a special mass there, and you have 30 people about 200 feet away from you. So that one works.
Well, congrats on that. That's got to feel nice to get out there and do that again. So.
Do you know how musicians are? Of course, the only thing I remember is what I did wrong, and thinking about needing to practice some more now.
My mandolin teacher always tried to get me out there and play in front of people, telling me that I had to build a callus around my heart, was the way he described it.
Oh gosh, mine used to say, imagine everybody is sitting on the toilet. So that way you could also, you know, get rid of your stage fright. So I like yours better.
Yeah, well, it's that idea of just not caring about your mistakes, right? Because
you've got to forgive yourself and you know, just try to accentuate that positive, right? But
that's right.
It's a constant battle.
So I won't ask how you played or anything. So
I was wonderful. I have this callus
around
my heart now.
Yeah, it's working already. All right, anybody else? All right, well, let's, I know we have a speaker today, so I'll turn it back over to you, Sam.
Alrighty. Sorry, I didn't mean to click there and give your lovely picture away too soon there, Megan, but I will ask Denise if she could do a quick introduction, and then we'll give the rest of the time to you. I'm gonna have a hard stop at the end of the hour. And so Megan has shared that she's a little bit more flexible on time. So when we get to 1 o'clock, we can close the meeting officially. And if there's further questions, we can continue there. But over to you, Denise.
All right. So thank you for that. I got a beautiful bio with some very difficult words for a non-native English speaker. So I'll do my best here. All right. So it starts off easy. She lives in Edgewater with her husband, 2 kids, and dog Gonzo. She has a bachelor's in exceptional student education from the University of Central Florida. And she obtained a master's in rehabilitation for the blind from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, with an emphasis on orientation and mobility. She has almost 20 years of experience in the blindness rehabilitation field and has worked with the Conklin Davis Center about 13 years and 6 years with the Rehabilitation Center for the Blind in Daytona Beach. Currently, she is working with all ages and really enjoying working with babies and the youth. She loves spending time with her family and friends, playing video games and watching movies, and especially horror movies, which I love. So I like you already. So here is Megan.
So thank you for having me, everybody. I'm going to try to bring up my PowerPoint. Okay. So like she said, I am, my title is a certified orientation and mobility instructor, but basically that just means travel skills. So orientation means knowing where you are, and mobility is getting around safely. So that's one of my titles. I'm also the transition coordinator. So I'm going to talk about all of our programs, but the transition program is for youth ages 13 to 22. And I just started working with blind babies. So we have that program too. And like she said, I have about 18 years in the field. So this is the agency. It's called the Davis Center for the Visually Impaired. We are located in Daytona. I have a picture on the screen. That's the front of our building. We're in Daytona Beach, so I put a picture up of Daytona. And then we are pretty close to the racetrack. You know, we have a large tourist business, you know, area there, but then, so that's one of our big attractions is the Speedway. So this agency opened in 1979, and it was named after the founder, Millard Conklin. It had gone through some changes last year, and we merged with a different agency. So now it's like 2 agencies combined. We're huge. We have 60 staff, and we serve about 400 people a year. We do serve all ages from birth and up now. We just got the Blind Babies program about 2 years ago. We also have a residential program where people from all over the state of Florida come to stay at the center and learn to live and work independently. And then for individuals in our 4-county area, Volusia, Putnam, Flagler, and Brevard, we do itinerant, meaning we go into their homes, or we do offer some group classes as well. There are no charge for any of our programs. The only thing is you do have to be open with the Division of Blind Services. And that is, you know, just an application process. You have to have an I-report to prove that you qualify. And we do receive a lot of funding from multiple sources. Division of Blind Services is one of our major funders. So I'm just breaking down the programs. Like I said, we have the Blind Babies, which is 0 to 5. We have STEPS. It's like an experiential learning program. Those are individuals 5 to 13. We have a transition program. So those are like teenagers, basically, you know, transitioning into adulthood. They're from 14 to 24. We have a vocational rehab program. So if you're in that program, you have to be wanting to work. And then we also have an ILOB or an ILAP, which is usually just seniors. However, there are some like maybe stay-at-home moms that don't want to work, but they can still get services through that program. So we offer independent living. So, you know, a lot of our programs are very individual. So we do an assessment, we determine what the client needs. You know, sometimes they need to relearn everything, you know, and cooking and everything. And sometimes they just need a refresher. Orientation and mobility, again, is the travel part. You know, I work with people showing them how to get from their door to the bus stop, or, you know, to the mailbox, or show them how to use a long white cane, or, you know, again, whatever the client needs to help with their travel skills. We have assistive technology. We teach different devices or software, which I'll go into that a little bit more later on. We have job readiness training, we have counseling, and then again, we have the residential training for individuals that are multi-disabled. So you have to be visually impaired as well as have another disability. There is another agency across the street from us called the Rehab Center, and they provide training for people who are, you know, maybe just visually impaired. The Blind Babies program, I have a little picture of a baby on here. This is my new favorite part of my job, but most of the time it's really working with the mom or the parent or the grandparent, you know, making sure that they have all of their needs met. So again, we could do independent living, daily living, computer. I have some little guys I teach how to use canes in preschool. Communication skills, you know, learning how to take notes or something like that in a different format. And again, most of these you're working with the parent rather than the baby themselves. Then we have the STEPS program. These students are ages 5 to 12, and this is an experiential program. So we really, you know, kids and people in general just learn by doing. So it's just getting them out in the community and doing different activities. We meet bi-weekly, like usually every other Saturday during the school year. And then during the summer, there's a 2-week workshop that they, they come about 4 days a week, or we go, out and do things. And then sometimes we do combine the younger and the older. Like we just went to a Jacksonville Jaguars game a few weeks ago, and we had both the steps and the teenagers. So it's good for everybody involved. And then the transition program. This is another thing that I'm really involved with. I do a lot of the planning. These are ages 13 to 22. And again, it's a lot of the same training. Most of this training is in a group setting. I do have some individuals I work with on a independent basis. But again, they meet biweekly in the school year. And then in the summer, we have a 6 to 7 week program. This past summer, we were able to spend 1 week at Stetson University to start out the summer. And that goes into the next point, which we have a grant with the National Park Service and the Atlantic Center for the Arts and Stetson University. So it's called the Young Sound Seekers. And these students are going out into national parks, recording the different landscapes, and then bringing them back to the lab. We were able to go to Stetson University and use their amazing lab to show these students how to use the different audio software. And all of it is completely accessible for people that have screen readers or the magnification. So this is one of our groups from a few years ago. We did a scavenger hunt, and this was the ending. We all made it to the end. So we do a really lot of fun things in those programs, and they're learning at the same time. And then we have the ILOB, which is the older blind, or the AP for advanced or adult placement, excuse me. And like I said, most of the time these individuals are older, they're retired, they're not looking to go to work. Again, they do have to be referred by Division of Blind Services, and they can receive all the other training. And then the vocational training, these are 18 and up. They must want to go to work. And if that's the case, we will help them any way we can to help them get to work. The residential program, they are 18 and up. They come from all over the state. They come to the Conklin campus for 2 weeks to do an assessment, and that determines what training they need from there on. And then they live at the center for, it could be 4 months, 6 months, however long they need to get their skills up to where they can maintain their independence. So, while they're at the center, they're working on all their skills, they're doing their own laundry, they're working on money management, they're taking care of all of their needs too. And then after they leave the program, we do have like a continuing program. If they decide to stay in Daytona Beach, there's a community program where, again, we can support them with more vocational and living support. So vision loss is something that a lot of people don't understand, because it's hard for, if somebody is in a wheelchair, it's easy to understand that, they can't maybe walk. But with somebody with vision loss, a lot of times there's no sign on their face, so it's hard for people to understand. But, vision loss, you could be completely blind, where you have no functional usable vision, or you can have partial vision, you can see shadows. There's all different types of vision loss. Vision loss is relatively common. It is one of the top 10 disabilities in adults. About 20 million people age 40 or older have some form of visual impairment. And these stats are from 2019, so they've gone up a little bit. But and then these are some stats on children. Approximately 547,000 children in the US with vision difficulties. And again, it just goes into, different scopes and definitions. And then unfortunately, vision loss is continuing to increase, and it's going to more than double perhaps by 2050. And that's because of diseases like diabetes and other chronic diseases. And also people are living longer, so a lot of the age-related eye diseases will be more common as well. So just again, to go into what vision loss is, you know, it's the ability to see properly. Sometimes people have central vision loss where they can't see directly in the center of their field. Sometimes they have peripheral where they can see in the center, they can't see on the outer portion. Sometimes, you know, some eye conditions, they have night blindness where they might see pretty well during the day, but at night they really have no vision. And again, you know, sometimes they have really no functional vision, but they can see like shadows or light, but it's not really helpful. So some challenges, and these are definitely not all of them, but, you know, some challenges for people who are blind or low vision is employment. The statistics are horrible. People that want to work, you know, only about 30% of people with vision loss that want to work are actually working. So that's about a 70% unemployment rate. And that's, you know, horrible. With the proper training and technology, you know, somebody that's blind can do, you know, just about any other job with the exception of, you know, driving a car. But, you know, people who are blind and visually impaired can be successful in any, you know, basically any area. A lot of times employers, you know, don't understand blindness and don't understand that there's technology. So just misperceptions of, you know, people with visual impairments. Transportation, you know, most people that are blind cannot drive, you know, legally blind, that is. So, you know, they're dependent on others for transportation. You know, family, if they live in an area where there is no transportation, then they're completely dependent on family, which, you know, some of the more rural areas don't have good public service. Reading print obviously is an issue for somebody that's blind. And then just, again, the public stigma of blindness and public safety. You know, anytime anybody leaves their house, obviously it's, you know, could be, you know, something bad could happen. But, you know, when you're blind and visually impaired, you're really dependent on, you know, everybody else and everybody obeying the traffic laws too. We, our area is like the top of the nation for traffic fatalities. So that's, you know, that's kind of scary too. But I talked a little bit about technology. So these are some of the technology that's available. So JAWS is a program that you would load onto a Windows computer and it would read everything that comes up on the screen to you. Fusion is JAWS plus magnification built in. That's a newer program. And then like the Windows also has a built-in narrator, which is getting a little bit better. And then Apple products have something called VoiceOver. Those are just a few examples. Again, there's, you know, there's more. Some of the personal devices like Alexa, I don't want mine to turn on, but, you know, those are helpful for setting reminders, setting alarms, doing Instacart, you know, ordering from Amazon, those kind of things. So, you know, a lot of my clients have those personal devices. The CCTVs, those, they used to be really big, but now they're a lot more compact and you can bring them around. But basically there's a camera that would point to a document and it would show the picture on the screen. And then there's portable video magnifiers, which are a little bit bigger than like my cell phone. And they, again, magnify whatever. So some of them you can take a picture, freeze it, and you can blow it up. You can change the different color arrangements. You know, sometimes people see maybe the color blue better or, you know, with a black background and white lettering. So you can manipulate those magnifiers different ways. There's handheld magnifiers, just like the, you know, the old magnifying glasses. And then there's also some that have a built-in light with them too. There's all kinds of Braille devices. Now, a lot of people who are not, you know, total don't read Braille. So only, I think about 10% of people are total. And out of that 10% of people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't use Braille. But if you know of anybody who is young and visually impaired and wanting to go to college, we definitely push Braille, because when you're teaching or reading magnification, you're looking at smaller pieces and it takes a while to put all that together. So with Braille, they can be more, quicker with reading. There's some like low tech things that we teach as well, just like little bump dots, little stickers that you can put on your microwave or on your oven to help, know where to turn the dial. There's writing guides, sometimes people just need to help stay on a straight line, and if they write big enough they can see. There's talking watches. There's different organization systems. There's one called the Pen Friend, and it's like a little electronic recorder. It's a little bit bigger than a pen, and you use it to label different things. And then some people just use like different stickers. So, we teach all of that. There's other technology like talking items, thermometers and scales, cell phones. There's all kinds of apps that, help people who are blind and visually impaired, and then GPS too. So, I understand that not all of you are, in Florida, in this area, but, just ways that you can help overall. So if you are a business owner, consider hiring somebody that's visually impaired or with a disability in general. If you're a business owner, ensure that your business is accessible or your website is accessible to a screen reader. If you are a local person, you can spread the word about our agency. Like I said, it's great. We're free, and not a lot of, places can say that anymore, but we are a free agency. We provide free training. And if you're not in this area, there's probably something similar to the Conklin Center in your area that, if you know of somebody going through vision challenges, you could help, point them in that direction. And then this is really important. If you think you see somebody who is blind and needing assistance, you shouldn't just assume that they need help. A lot of times my clients will tell me that they're like dragged and pushed, and it's nice to offer assistance, but, they might just be standing there waiting to cross the street and not need any help. So, it's nice just to identify yourself and say, is there anything I can do to help you? And then, don't be offended if they don't need help. And then, another way you could help is just be an advocate, help those that need help. There's a really great movie that came out on Netflix a couple years ago, and it's called Crip Camp, CRIPCAMP. And it's a documentary about a lot of the laws that were passed. And all throughout my school, I really didn't know the full history because a lot of people in government tried to not pass some of these really important laws. So Crip Camp is a great documentary. It sounds offensive, but it's a story told around a group of people who went to a camp in New York, I believe, and it's a really great documentary. Another thing that's going on this month, we talked about different, days. October 15th of every year in the US is White Cane Day. It was started in 1964 by President Lyndon B. Johnson. And it basically is an effort to raise awareness of the white cane. It is celebrated throughout the country on that date, October 15th. And this year in Daytona on October 28th, we're going to have a white cane walk near our center, where basically we invite different members of the city government, the police, and we just continually walk and cross the street and hope that people will disobey the law so they are educated in what the law is. So I just included the white cane law, which is kind of wordy, but if anybody, wants to look it up, basically it says that you have to make every attempt for that individual to be able to cross safely. So that's my presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that I didn't answer. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Megan. Really, really appreciate that. Let me, I had your video spotlighted for everyone in the call. I do see one hand up already. So Finola.
Okay.
Yes, I've got a friend. She's one of my neighbours in Dublin, and she's completely blind, totally blind. Since she was 30, she has diabetes 1. And she lives on her own. There is a question at the end. She lives totally on her own. She has 5 hours help from the government a week. She coordinates all her colours and everything. She does everything herself except she can't read, obviously, so her helper reads her emails and reads her posts and reads her bank statements. She doesn't go out on her own because she's not able to do the white stick. She said she can't walk in a white, straight line. She just doesn't know if she's going straight or at an angle. But I'm just wondering, she's a non-stop talker. And people who meet her say, let other people get a word in. And I'm wondering, is this part of the blindness, or would it have pre-existed blindness? Literally, she doesn't stop talking. In 3 sentences, we're in South Africa or Tunisia or something. And there's no continuity in what she says. It just comes out one topic after the other.
So I'm not sure. I believe a lot of our clients are not just, coming to us with blindness. We have a lot of people on the spectrum. We have a lot of people with cognitive delays, so there could be other things going on besides the blindness. Or, maybe is she just really nervous and it's kind of like a nervous type talk that's why she's not stopping, or?
I don't know, but it certainly makes people steer away from her. Nobody on the road except me helps her. Not one neighbour, and they all avoid her, and she doesn't see them, and she doesn't go out. But if she's happens to be coming to the car with me, I take her sometimes shopping. Mm-hmm. People don't say hello because they know they won't be able to get away from her.
I mean, it might hurt, but you might just want to be honest with her and just let her know that, her constant talking makes people nervous, or, or not wanting to be with her.
Yeah, well, 2 people have said it to her that just met her, said, let other people talk, give somebody else a chance to talk. And she says, I don't have the visual sense to see who wants to talk. And I have said to her, look, when we're on the phone, we don't have the visual cue. We have to wait and listen.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just very hard because seriously, people they just avoid her. Nobody wants to be near her.
That's very sad because, just being blind is kind of isolating in itself. And then, in her case, I mean, I would just, if you're a really good friend and you feel comfortable, just tell her, it hurts me that, people are offended by your talking, and maybe if you just let somebody talk, and there are there's cues you can pick up on even if you are blind. I teach some of those social cues, but you can kind of tell by somebody's tone of voice sometimes too that they're a little irritated, and maybe she's just not picking up on some of those other cues too.
Yes. No, she isn't. She doesn't really listen because she talks and then she'll throw in one question like gunfire. And if you say, yeah, and then she's off again. She doesn't listen to the answer.
Yeah. I think Jennifer Cleveland has her hand up. I think she might want to add something to this.
Oh, I didn't know Jennifer.
Hey. Yeah, so it was kind of like what you were saying. From what I'm not sure who the lady was who was talking about her friend or a neighbor, but it sounds like she's not received any training because she can't read her own emails, she can't read her bills, she can't. People are doing everything for her, and it sounds like she can't walk with the white cane, so she can't stay straight. But if you're taught properly orientation and mobility, you can walk straight. So it sounds like she's received no training, and it is hard to have conversations as a visually impaired person because I'm totally blind at night. I just like what Megan was saying, I have no night vision, so I'm totally blind. Conversations are extremely difficult, and people forget that a lot of conversation is visual cues. A lot of hearing is visual, and that, you know, sometimes when you're talking to somebody, you may think you're actually hearing them, but what you're doing is looking at their body language and looking at the way their mouth moves, and you're reading their lips and things like that. So it's harder for me to have conversations, but I do hear what you're saying, that she won't be quiet, but maybe she needs, I don't know if there's an organization in the area like, you know, the Conklin Davis Center that she could sign up for and teach her some of those skills. But yeah, it would be just like what Meghan said, tell her. I would just tell her and just say like, look, say one thing and then ask a question, and then sit and wait for the response, and then ask another question. Tell her, you know, teach her to ask questions. Like my dad said years ago, he told me, when you go to a party, he said, don't tell anything about yourself, only ask questions. And if you just ask questions the whole time and seem very interested in everybody, you'll leave the party. Everyone will think you're the best person in the world, but they won't know anything about you. And that's what I tell my friends who talk too much, you know, just ask questions. Don't tell them anything unless they ask you. And then when you leave, that person that you were with feels like you're the best person in the world, but they don't know anything about you. So I don't know, but that was my take on her, on your friend.
Okay, thank you. It's just a very difficult situation.
Yeah, sounds like it. And it sounds like you care about this person. So, you know, sometimes the truth hurts, but, you know, it might be helpful for her to know that, it, you know, it bothers people. Any other questions?
I don't see any hands. Oh, there we go.
Oh, Jennifer.
Jennifer,
I'm back. Okay. So I'm excited that I just signed up for orientation of mobility again.
Oh.
Yeah. So are you going to be my teacher?
I guess so.
Yay!
I haven't got your name.
I just
I cover your area.
Good. Okay. So I just signed up because, you know, Frank is ready to retire.
Yeah.
And I still don't have, I'm on the waiting list for three schools for a new guide dog.
Okay.
And I still haven't gotten in anywhere. And Frank can't, he's getting to where he can't work, and he's literally stopped working 4 times. So we're walking and he just stops. And I don't trust him, you know, at night where I'm totally blind. I only trust him partially when it's daylight, where I have some functional vision. So yeah, so I just signed up through the Division of Blind Services. I already had my call with Julie, so I guess I'm waiting for you.
Excellent. Okay.
Yay. Yeah, but that's interesting, everything that you talked about with the organization. I was unaware of a lot of it, and I don't know if a lot of it came along because of the Conklin Davis Center. I mean, the merging. Was a lot of it because of the merger?
Right. Because we didn't have the residential program before. That was in place at Conklin. And so we've kind of moved into their building. And so we took on that contract. And then the babies is something that we got a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if you know Gabrielle, but she's been working mostly with the babies. But I'm covering Brevard, and there's 7 babies down there. So we have the most babies in that area.
Wow.
So yeah, it's grown. Like, I mean, Jennifer, you remember how small we used to be when I first started working here? It was like 6 of us. Now there's like 60 something of us. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yes.
And one of the things I wanted to say to everyone, the importance, like for some reason, you know, when I lost my vision, nobody told me about any of these organizations, not a single doctor, not any of my eye doctors, not any eyeglass place knew about the organizations or knew about your organization. Nobody. So I went for a year with no services. So what I've discovered in my life of being visually impaired and being very, very vocal about it and out in the public about it is that it's the sighted people around the visually impaired people that are the key to getting the services. That I have more people contact me, just individuals who say, hey, my new neighbor, or hey, my mom, or this woman just moved into town, or whatever, and they're, you know, visually impaired or whatever, you know, or I met this woman at the grocery store. She comes in all the time, that kind of stuff. More people like that contact me than doctor's offices or anything else. I do have some doctor's offices that still reach out. I had another doctor direct message me on Facebook lately, a little while ago, about another person. But the key thing is, like, you sighted people keeping your eye out. And when you encounter someone who can no longer drive, because they've lost so much vision that they can't drive. Don't they qualify at that point, Megan, for services?
Yes. If you're legally blind as a child or even as a teen, it's not as restrictive, but when you're 18, you do have to be legally blind.
Yeah. And it's important for the sighted people around them to take the steps and to make sure that they get the services and stuff like that and the support. I have a woman in my life who's totally blind, and she gets the same, you know, treatment from her friends and family that most people do. She's fine. She's fine. You know, that's what they say. Oh, she's fine, you know, but she's not fine.
Yeah.
She wants some independence. She wants some freedom. And but she can't do it on her own because she's defenseless. She's totally blind, you know, so I'm working with her now to try to get her orientation mobility with you. So we just got her signed up because she wants a dog and some other things, but that's my, if anybody could have that takeaway, you know, you're the sighted person, please take the steps to support the visually impaired person that happens to come into your life, and to make those phone calls and to fill out those applications and make those steps for them.
Thank you.
Hey, any other questions from Megan? Anyone ever, maybe comments, anything? Good.
I have a kind of a combination. First of all, a question. The thing that seems to me would be the most difficult, and Jennifer, your comments are just awesome. They really make you stop and think, is getting over the fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think about just if I tried to keep my eyes closed and navigate for even a small period of time, I would be simply terrified. And clearly you have to get over that. The other thing is I have zero expertise. I hope a little bit of empathy. But one of the things I thought was absolutely fabulous is a lot of people don't like to be reminded that they have a disability, and they can be very resistant to it. I had the joy, and Kimberly will confirm this, to do training for wounded veterans who come back and they get business training to become government contracting officers. And you have some of everything. The classroom with that kind of training is radically different. You know, I have somebody with PTSD who can't sit down or go far from a door, all the way through. I've had 2 students who were totally blind. Mm-hmm. And the accommodations were not, although the agency was trying the best it could, the accommodations were terrible. I mean, just from the dark ages, technology, or various kinds of things. The thing that I thought was most impressive, it just was wonderful, is the whole spirit was there to get the veterans to talk rather than to avoid, you know, some of the problems, and was the graciousness and the caring of the blind guys being sure to let you know it was okay to point it out. It was okay to suggest, you know, different ways of doing things. And it just seems to me, I was so impressed, first of all, with their capabilities, but secondly, with their attitude. And it seems like that's what you would want to try and convey.
Mm-hmm.
But the fear thing, you know, really scares me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of times, you know, I start like in the home with somebody, and then we kind of branch out, you know, so, you know, especially if they've lost like all their vision, you know, you start somewhere where it's comfortable, and then once they get their confidence up, you know, then you venture out maybe to the store or whatever. But yeah, and it's also learning, and Jennifer, you might be able to talk on this, is learning to trust your cane, to, you know, learn to know that that cane is there to find things in your way, but it's a process to learn that as well.
Yeah, and it already makes me want to cry just thinking about it. But okay, hold on. But yeah, it's such a process, because I remember working with my teacher, Karen. God, and it's just one little thing, one little confidence building step at a time of, you know, what do you want to do now? And then, you know, okay, I want to learn this. I want to do this. Okay, let's do it. And we do it, we master it. And then she's like, okay, What's next? What do you want to do now? And it's one more thing. And then it's one more thing. And then it's one more thing. And then it's like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'd love to work again. And she's like, fantastic. What would you like to do for work? I have no idea, you know, well, let's figure it out. And it's one more thing. And it's one more. So it was like a year and a half of just confidence building, you know, just one more step, you know. And my biggest confidence builder was learning how to sew. And God, I never learned how to sew, and I always wanted to. My grandmothers both sewed. And so I said, Karen, you know, I think I want to learn how to sew. And she said, let's do it. And she said, do you have a sewing machine? I said, no. So I bought one at a garage sale. and we learned how to sew. And I sewed my stepdaughter an outfit. And I, you know, and once I did that, that was when I was like, I can do this. And it's like, I think I want to work again. And so it is terrifying, and there's a lot of fear. And people also try to instill a lot of fear in you. They're like, oh, how can you go out? I couldn't do that. I'm scared. Exactly. Or afraid somebody's gonna, you know, aren't you afraid of getting hit by a car? Aren't you, you know, it's like, oh my God, stop, you know, aren't you afraid of getting hit by a car? I mean, aren't you afraid of getting robbed? Aren't, you know, all of that. It's no different. It really is no different. And so it's the people around you kind of need to stop throwing gasoline on the fire. And then it's just the one step at a time with the teachers that build your confidence and build your strength. And then you have to do your part, which is challenge your fears. Like, where am I really in danger? Am I really in danger? You know, and if you listen to your teachers, they'll teach you how to do it. They'll teach you how to walk with that cane to where you won't get hurt, and where you can walk a straight line, and where you can find your way anywhere you want to go, basically, as long as it's a reasonable situation. It's kind of hard, like in restaurants and stores and stuff like that, but you can find your way up and down the street and all over the place, you know. And if you just listen to your teacher. And so you have to surrender and be willing to be teachable and to be guided. And then you have to surrender to that, you know, like you mentioned, some people don't want to be reminded of their disability. I didn't like that either. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was surrendering and giving in. The first time I went to classes at the Brevard Association for the Advancement of the Blind, I was like, that's it. I've given up. I've given up, you know. But then I was like, well, you know, that life is gone. That sighted life is gone. My new life is a visually impaired person. So I'm not giving up. I'm releasing that old existence, and I'm stepping into my new future. So people have to be willing to do that. And that comes along with the fire that's inside them and the people that are around them. And then, of course, getting this organization to give them, or the organization in their area to give them the support, because you cannot do it without it. You just can't. There's no way you can figure out all this stuff without teachers like Meghan.
Could I give you it should have gone back with the happy dollars, except I hadn't heard the talk yet. I had a dear friend in high school who had terrible diabetes, even during high school. And she lost her vision. And I remember we as friends used to try to keep her from drinking that Coke or, you know, doing things. But it's hard, you know, when you're a teenager. She was, first of all, one of the miraculous people that had the courage to deal with it. She had a child after she was completely blind. And I've never forgotten one of the tricks she used. She put bells on her baby's shoes so she could hear. I mean, it's just one of those things that would maybe never have occurred to somebody else, but it was absolutely brilliant. And she did, but she got her vision back many years later, which I don't know how common that is, but it seemed like it was very unusual. And we're in our 70s and she's still doing fine. So
that's awesome.
Amazing.
Somebody asked how I say my name. It's Althafer. So like the H is silent, Althafer. It's German, I guess. It's my
Will you repeat that?
Althafer. Althafer.
Okay. What about the M? Well, that's.
Oh, sorry.
That's your
I'm sorry. My first name is Meghan.
Okay, because on the screen it says Malthafers.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have changed that. That's my email address, I think. So yeah,
okay.
It's Meghan Althafer.
Now
it sounds German.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it begins with an A, not with an M. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
I think in Germany they would say Althafer.
Yes. And I've heard it's like, it either means old wheat or like, you know how in the US we say old geezer, like old person. That's what I've heard that means. I'm not quite sure, but I've heard that from two different people. So
could be. They were very original with their last names here in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Well, great. Well, Meghan, thank you so much for sharing with us. Really appreciate it. You know, we typically what we'll do is we'll take this call and we'll take the recording, download it, and then upload it to YouTube, if that's okay. Sure. And we'll have that for others to show up and watch it later. If you didn't know, and I didn't mention it earlier, I wasn't sure who all would be on the call, but we do have global audience here. So we have France and Ireland and Netherlands represented on this call right now, and obviously lots of folks around the world who might want to watch this presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was very interesting for me anyway. I found it really interesting because I have a friend who's completely blind, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great talk.
So with that, I'll probably just go ahead and hit stop on the recording, and we can bring this meeting to a close. And if other folks want to stay and chat, we can leave the call open. But we do want to say thank you to you, Jennifer, as well. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for joining us. Meghan, thank you so much for the presentation. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.